So today I'm going to teach you how to make natural cough syrup. I know that our immune system is more important to us now than it ever was in the past years, and this is a concoction that we've been using at home also for a long time. If you hear that noise, those are our animals. It's either the chicken or the geese. Palagi silang sumasali. Anyway, always start with very clean hands. I already washed my hands, and I'm going to run you through the ingredients that we need for this cough syrup. So we need a lot of onions, maybe some ginger, maybe some garlic, but for today, let's just do the onions. And oh, I'd like to tell you a little something about this bowl. This is actually Nangkisin, our cook before, used to call this akawa. We call it here akawa. I do not know what it's called in Tagalog, but here it's kawa. And this was actually owned by my great-grandmother, Nangkisin said. And then she used to work for my great-grandmother, for my grandmother, and naabutan ko pa si Nangkisin as our cook when I was small. Anyway, so my great-grandmother actually used to cook here, and we've had this forever. Like I'd always see this bowl when I was growing up, and during this whole lockdown, my mom saw it, she had it polished, and then she passed it on to me, so it's a cherished possession. Anyway, so like I said, we always start with clean hands and a clean board. Our board is always disinfected before use, but for added measure, I always like to disinfect it a bit more right before I use it. So I use lemons to disinfect it, or you can also do you can also use calamansi. Any citrus fruit will do actually. So I rub it and let it sit for a bit. So why a natural cough remedy when you can always just buy? I know you can always just buy, but it's nice to know that the things we always have in our kitchen, we can also use for our health. So, or we can always use as medicine. So I've always been attracted to the whole concept of food as medicine. Everything we need to stay healthy and be healthy is already found in nature. God already gave it to us. Okay, so you disinfect, you let it sit for a bit. As we wait for it to sit for a bit, I will run you through the ingredients that we need. Like I said, we have here onions. You'll need a lot of onions, maybe a bit of ginger, garlic, honey. This is the honey that we actually harvest from our own backyard back in 2013, right after Typhoon Yolanda, when Richard and a beekeeper that he met started a little apiary here lang in our backyard. And maybe a year or so later, we were able to harvest, and regularly now we are able to harvest. So this is the honey. I've had labels made. It's called My Honey. We put it in sterilized glass bottles, but because we put it in sterilized glass bottles because we like to give it as gifts. But for home use, we keep it in a little honey pot like this. Okay, so we need the honey, and then you need sterilized glass bottles, another one for the final product. So I like to use a very distinct bottle for the finished product so that they don't use it mamaya, they use it to sweeten something, and yun pala, it has the flavor of onion. We also need a strainer, a bowl, a stainless bowl which will serve as my trash can, a funnel, and yeah, that's it. Okay, so we start by wiping down the board that's been sterilized with the lemon. I make my own disinfectant spray. Really, I use vinegar infused with lemon or orange peel. I spray it, and then this is just the final step. Okay, so we start with the onions, and you will chop a lot of onions. So if you Google it, the onion is it's a drawer. So in the body, it draws the toxins. I've been told that if you're renovating a room and the room smells of paint and you want the smell to disappear, you just put a plate of sliced onions and it'll work. But for this purpose, this is a natural cough syrup, and it's actually very delicious. It doesn't feel like a punishment there. So you chop the onions. And again, I always keep a trash bin close because I want it neat. I want to always clean as you go, always. Anyway, what was I telling you about the onions? The onions, yes, the onion is a drawer. So it draws out the toxins, and it's good for any respiratory issue. Like if you have cough or colds. So I keep a jar in the refrigerator, and anybody who needs to use it can just use it. Maybe an adult can have a teaspoon or two, and then a child can maybe have a half a teaspoon. So you chop it very fine. And you can use any onion, whatever is available. I think it doesn't matter if it's what color, whatever is available. So careful when you chop. If Richard were here, I'd make him chop. But there. You chop it in cubes. So I don't know why they say it makes them cry. It doesn't naman. Or maybe I'm too far, or maybe I'm not chopping enough onions, but there. So just chop. And it doesn't have to be so uniform because you won't see it anyway in the finished product. Okay, so we have that. I have a whole bowl here that's already been chopped, and you will need your honey. You will need your glass jars. I have two because usually I always end up chopping more onions, and I have to use up the onions kasi sayang. So I always prepare at least 2 jars so that I get to use everything that I've chopped. But it's very easy. All you have to do is layer. So we have our onion in the first layer. In the first layer, you put like a thin layer of onions. And then you mix it with honey. So you do it in layers. Another layer. So you keep on doing that until you reach the top of the jar. So some of you might ask, why can't you just mix everything all in one go? If you do it that way, then the onions just go up. They just float, and they don't have a chance to really get infused and to make friends with each other and to be more potent. So we have to trust the process. Instead of always looking for the shortcut, maybe the lolas who first discovered this as a cough remedy has good reason to really emphasize that we have to do it in layers. So let's just follow all the lolas. It's nice anyway. It's nice to follow rules when it comes to anything medicinal, or especially if it comes from somebody who you know has used that remedy for a long time and you've tried it and it already works. Okay. So it's just like that. You keep on doing it in layers. So for those who don't really like honey, because I know that some people don't take honey, maybe maple syrup would work just as well. So just keep going. Keep going. I usually do this when we're done with dinner and the tables clean again and empty. The kitchen doesn't have as much people. It's usually just me, Richard, Juliana, a few friends, and while wrapping up the day, there I am making the cough syrup. What are the other things that you can add here? When you're feeling already comfortable, or you already know how this tastes, you can add other things that you know will be good for respiratory issues. You can add a little garlic, you can add some ginger, you can add some lemon peels, up to you. But as a base syrup, I suggest that you try it just the onions and the honey. Or like I said, if you don't use honey, you can do maple syrup. Okay, so you keep on doing that in layers. So what's going to happen? So if you look at it, it's really mixed evenly. The onions are not going up to the top of the bottle. They're staying put, and that's what we want for at least 24 hours. Okay, let's say that's the most it can go without it spilling over. So you label it, you cover it, leave it in the ref for about 24 hours. Please label it so that it doesn't get used for other things. Okay, so that's your onion with honey. So you leave it for 24 hours, and after 24 hours, you will have something that looks like this. So if you will see, it has become very runny, meaning the juices from the onion has already mixed very well with the honey. The honey isn't very sticky anymore. And if you can see, I really labeled it. And now, after 24 hours, when you've seen that it has made friends with each other, what you can do, wait, let me clean my board. What you can do is strain it. We have to strain it because we don't want the onion bits. See, so you got your strainer, you got a bowl. There. And then you press it down. And then this one you can probably use as compost. But you really press it down so that you get all the honey and the onion syrup. Move it around a bit and press some more. You don't want to waste anything. Okay, so tama lang talaga 2 jars because it really won't be as much. So I'll put it back here, but you don't reuse this anymore. This is done. You cannot use this anymore. I'm just putting it back so that I can use it later for the soil, the garden. Put there. And then we do the second bowl. Here. You can add, like I said, make first the base, and if you already know how it tastes, then you can add garlic or ginger, but not too much garlic. It's going to become very, very strong. The flavor will be too strong, and the kids might not like it as much, because as it is just onion and honey, I think it's the taste that kids really like. So now you have all this syrup here, the cough syrup, and then you get your bottle, you get your funnel, and you pour it in. Oops. Kasha. Tama lang. Again, you label it. And that is your finished product. Okay, so I hope you make the same thing in your kitchen. Let me taste it. So this is something that I think the kids will easily tolerate. What you can do is put it in a glass that's easy to use, kasi minsan tatama rin sila yung pag nakitang ang dami pang dapat halongkatin para mainom, but when it's a pour bottle like this, it's easy. And then dosage, maybe for adults 2 to 3 times a day, a tablespoon, and for children maybe half a teaspoon to a teaspoon 2 to 3 times a day also. So I hope this helps you. Bye.